You've probably heard it 1,000 times, bananas are the perfect fruit. They're soft, easy to digest, full of potassium. And hey, even your doctor might have told you they're good for your heart, your energy, your blood pressure, right? But here's what almost no one tells you: bananas can backfire. Yes. That sweet, harmless-looking fruit sitting on your kitchen counter. It might be spiking your blood sugar. It might be messing with your medication. And it might be making your digestion worse. Especially if you're over 60. See, as we age, our bodies don't process food the way they used to. What worked in your 40s may not work in your 70s. Your metabolism slows. Your gut becomes more sensitive. And small choices, like how ripe your banana is or what time of day you eat it, start to make a big difference. You might be eating bananas in the morning, thinking it's healthy. But then you feel shaky, tired, or bloated an hour later. You might be taking your blood pressure meds and having a banana as a snack. And unknowingly throwing your potassium levels out of balance. This isn't about fear. It's about knowing what no one else is saying. So today, right now, I want to walk you through 8 common banana mistakes that most people, especially older adults, are making. Simple things you probably haven't thought twice about. But they could be silently affecting your energy, your digestion, your heart, even your sleep. And no, I'm not here to tell you to stop eating bananas. I'm here to help you eat them smarter. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to watch out for, what to change, and how to keep enjoying bananas without the hidden health setbacks. So tell me, are bananas part of your daily routine? If they are, drop a comment below and say, "I'm a banana fan." Let's see how many of us have been in the same boat. And hey, if you care about aging smarter, feeling better, and protecting the ones you love, tap that subscribe button and join us here at Elder Talks Daily. Because we're all about simple, powerful tips to help you and your family age with health, wisdom, and peace of mind. Alright, let's get into it. Here are the 8 banana mistakes you need to stop making right now. Let's start with the first big mistake: eating bananas that are too ripe. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but I like my bananas with those little brown spots. They're sweeter, softer, easier to chew. And you wouldn't be alone. Mr. Allen, one of our longtime viewers, he's 82, shared this exact thought with me. Every morning, he'd slice up a spotty banana into his cereal. Said it reminded him of how his wife used to serve it when they were younger. It was a comforting little routine. But then something started changing. His energy would crash mid-morning. His blood sugar readings slowly began to climb. Even though he wasn't eating candy or dessert, something wasn't adding up. And the culprit? That soft, speckled banana. See, the riper a banana gets, the more its natural starches turn into sugar. And not the slow-digesting kind, fast sugars that hit your bloodstream like a freight train. Especially for older adults or anyone with prediabetes, this can quietly do damage over time. It's one of those sneaky mistakes people don't even realize they're making. We've been told for years that fruit is good, fruit is safe, fruit is nature's candy. But even nature's candy can cause trouble if your body can't process sugar the way it used to. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not saying throw away every banana with a freckle. But if you're eating them daily, and especially if you're watching your blood sugar, you've got to be smart about the ripeness. Here's a simple visual cue: go for bananas that are solid yellow. Maybe a tiny bit of green at the top. A couple faint dots. Fine. But if it looks like it belongs in banana bread, it's already packed with sugar. And here's another tip: don't eat bananas on their own. Pair it with a little protein or healthy fat. A small handful of almonds. A scoop of plain Greek yogurt. Even a slice of peanut butter toast. This combo helps slow down how fast your body absorbs that sugar, giving you longer, steadier energy. These small adjustments might sound basic. But for seniors, especially those managing blood sugar, energy dips, or heart concerns, they make a huge difference. And if you've been wondering why that afternoon fatigue keeps hitting you hard, or why your numbers are inching up even though your diet seems clean, this could be one of those hidden triggers. But don't worry, we're just getting started. Because ripeness is only part of the story. Let's talk about something else that most people do every single morning, and don't realize it's setting them up for a rough day. Let's move to mistake number 2, eating bananas on an empty stomach. It sounds innocent. But there's more to it than you think. Now let's move to mistake number 2, eating bananas alone, on an empty stomach. Now this one's especially common. You wake up, maybe you're not super hungry, maybe you just want to keep it light. You think, I'll just grab a banana. It's quick. It's healthy. It's fruit, it must be good for me. That's exactly what Ms. Doris, 74, used to do. Every morning, just one banana and a glass of water. She'd been doing it for years, thinking it was a smart way to stay fit and energized. But something started changing. She told me she was feeling dizzy mid-morning. Shaky hands. Lightheadedness. Sometimes even a little irritable before lunchtime rolled around. At first, she thought it was just age catching up with her. But when we looked a little deeper, it was that lone banana breakfast causing the problem. Here's what's really going on: bananas digest fast. They're high in natural sugars and potassium, but they're missing two key things: protein and fat. And without those two, your blood sugar goes up quickly, then crashes just as fast. It's like throwing a log into a fire that's already burning hot, big flames at first, then suddenly, nothing. And that crash. It's what causes the fatigue, the shakiness, and the cloudy thinking. This is especially important for older adults. As we age, our ability to regulate blood sugar naturally becomes more fragile. And what we eat in the morning sets the tone for our entire day. If your first meal is unbalanced, even if it looks healthy, your body feels it. Now here's the big misconception: fruit equals breakfast. That's what we've been told. But for seniors, fruit alone is not a balanced start to the day. It doesn't mean you have to ditch the banana. But you need to anchor it with something more solid. Try this instead. Slice your banana over a bowl of Greek yogurt. Or eat it alongside a boiled egg and a spoonful of peanut butter. Even a small piece of whole grain toast with avocado can make all the difference. This way, you're not just feeding your body sugar, you're giving it fuel. Fuel that burns slower, steadier, and keeps you full longer. Because the truth is, we don't want to just eat healthy. We want to feel good after we eat, and that starts with the right combinations. So next time you reach for a banana first thing in the morning, ask yourself, what can I pair this with? And trust me, your energy levels, your focus, even your mood, will thank you. Now, if you're someone who takes medication in the morning, you'll want to pay extra attention to this next mistake. It might seem harmless, but it can quietly interfere with the very pills meant to help you. Let's talk about mistake number 3, eating bananas while on certain medications. This one might surprise you. And it's more common than you think. Now let's talk about mistake number 3, eating bananas while taking certain medications. This one doesn't get talked about enough, and yet, it can be one of the most dangerous interactions for older adults. Let me tell you about Mr. Dennis, 76. A kind man, soft-spoken, big on routine. Every morning, he'd wake up, take his blood pressure pill, lisinopril, and then have a banana with breakfast. Nothing fancy. Just what he believed was a heart-healthy start to the day. But a few months in, he started feeling off. Heart palpitations. Muscle weakness. Occasional nausea. His doctor ran some blood work, and the results were crystal clear. His potassium levels were dangerously high. The culprit? Not the medication alone. It was the banana. Now here's what's happening behind the scenes. Bananas are rich in potassium, and usually, that's a good thing. Potassium helps regulate heart rhythm, nerve function, and muscle health. But certain medications, especially those prescribed for high blood pressure or heart failure, already raise your potassium levels on their own. We're talking about drugs like ACE inhibitors, like lisinopril or ramipril, ARBs, like losartan or valsartan, potassium-sparing diuretics, like spironolactone. When you combine those meds with high-potassium foods like bananas, the body can't flush out the excess. And too much potassium? It can mess with your heartbeat. It can strain your kidneys. It can even lead to sudden fatigue, chest tightness, and muscle cramps that seem to come out of nowhere. Now here's the real kicker: most people don't even know their medication interacts with potassium. They think, it's just a banana. What harm could it do? But if your body can't balance the levels on its own, even that one small fruit a day can tip the scale in the wrong direction. So what's the fix? First, don't panic. You don't have to cut bananas out completely. But if you're taking one of those medications, it's critical to talk with your doctor or pharmacist. Ask them if you're on a potassium-sensitive prescription. And if you are, limit your intake. Maybe half a banana instead of a whole one. Maybe swap it out a few days a week for something with less potassium, like apples, berries, or pears. And always read your medication handouts. Even those small notes at the bottom about food interactions, they matter. Especially when you're trying to stay healthy and avoid unwanted complications. This one simple change could protect your heart, your kidneys, and your peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, it's not about avoiding food. It's about knowing what works best for you and your body. And since we're talking about mixing things together, let's move to mistake number 4, a sweet mistake hiding in your blender. It's time we talked about banana smoothies. They're not always as innocent as they seem. Let me ask you something real quick. When's the last time you had a banana smoothie and thought, wow, I'm being so healthy right now? You toss in that banana, maybe some fruit juice, a spoonful of honey, a splash of yogurt. It tastes sweet, it goes down easy, and it feels like you're treating your body right. But what if I told you that your healthy smoothie might be quietly working against you? Now stay with me on this, because this one catches so many people off guard. See, there's something really sneaky about smoothies. They look innocent. They sound healthy. But when you break down what's actually going into that blender, you'll often find a sugar overload hiding behind all that fruit. And that brings me to Ms. Evelyn, 69. Every morning, she'd blend together a banana, some orange juice, a few chunks of pineapple, a little vanilla yogurt, and a drizzle of honey. She thought she was making a heart-smart, energizing breakfast. But here's what started happening. She gained weight. Her afternoon energy would crash. And even though she wasn't eating cookies or cakes, her blood sugar stayed stubbornly high. We looked closer at that smoothie, and here's what we found: over 40 grams of sugar. All from healthy ingredients. Bananas, full of fast-digesting sugars. Fruit juice, basically liquid sugar. Yogurt, unless it's plain, it's usually packed with hidden sweeteners. And honey, well, it's still sugar. No matter how natural it sounds. Now let me be clear, it's not the banana's fault. But when you combine it with 2, 3, or even 4 other sweet ingredients, you turn your smoothie into a blood sugar bomb, especially dangerous for seniors dealing with insulin sensitivity or weight gain. And here's the thing. It doesn't give you the lasting energy you think it will. You get a quick spike, followed by a crash, leaving you tired, foggy, and even hungrier an hour later. So what's the smarter move? If you're going to make a smoothie, balance is everything. Try this instead: half a banana, a scoop of plain Greek yogurt, a handful of spinach or kale, some chia seeds, or a tablespoon of peanut butter and water or unsweetened almond milk as your base. You'll still get that creamy texture, a hint of sweetness, but without overloading your body with sugar first thing in the day. Because remember, just because something is blended, doesn't mean it's balanced. And for older adults, blood sugar control is everything, for your heart, your brain, and your long-term vitality. So the next time you go to blend up that healthy drink, think twice. Because how you build your smoothie can make or break your morning. And speaking of timing, let's move to mistake number 5, something a lot of people do without ever questioning it. Eating bananas right before bed. Sounds harmless, right? But let's take a closer look. You might be surprised what's really going on when the lights go out. Now I know what you're thinking. Come on, it's just a banana. It's not cake. It's not soda. Surely it can't be that bad before bedtime. And in some ways, you're right, bananas do have magnesium, tryptophan, and even a bit of vitamin B6, which are all linked to calming the body and preparing it for rest. So then, what's the problem? Well, here's the part most people don't realize. Your body doesn't shut down just because the lights go out. It's still working, still digesting, still regulating sugar, still dealing with whatever you just ate. And bananas? They're high in natural sugars and starch. They digest quickly. And for some people, especially older adults with slower digestion or sensitive stomachs, that can cause late-night bloating, gas, or even acid reflux. Let me tell you about Mr. Frank, 81. A retired mechanic, sharp as a tack. Every night, around 9:30, he'd grab a banana to settle his stomach before bed. Said it was his little tradition, something to quiet the hunger so he wouldn't toss and turn. But the tossing and turning didn't stop. In fact, it got worse. He started waking up in the middle of the night, feeling uncomfortable, sometimes even breathless. At first, he thought it was anxiety. But after a few conversations and a simple change in his routine, we figured it out. The banana. It was sitting heavy in his stomach, creating gas, causing minor reflux, and disrupting what should have been deep, restorative sleep. You see, as we age, digestion naturally slows down in the evening. Your gut isn't as active, your metabolism eases off, and your ability to move food through the system becomes a little less efficient. So when you eat a banana late at night, especially without anything else to slow it down, that sugar rush can throw your blood sugar off while you sleep. And the starch can ferment just enough to cause gas, bloating, or pressure on the stomach lining, making reflux more likely. Now, some people can handle it just fine. But for many older adults, it silently chips away at sleep quality, comfort, and gut health. So what's the solution? It's pretty simple. If you love having a banana at night, just move it a little earlier, maybe right after dinner. Or better yet, pair it with something that helps slow digestion, like a spoonful of almond butter or a few slices of cucumber. And if sleep is your goal, there are even gentler options, like warm chamomile tea, or a small serving of unsweetened oatmeal with a few berries. Remember, good sleep isn't just about what you avoid, it's about what you time right. Because the goal isn't to give up bananas. It's to enjoy them in a way that supports your health, not disrupts it quietly in the background. And now that we've talked about when you eat bananas, let's take a look at how ripe they are, in a completely opposite direction. Because while overripe bananas can be a sugar trap, green bananas, yes, the ones most people avoid, might actually be a hidden superfood for your gut. Let's talk about that in mistake number 6, avoiding green bananas entirely. You're going to want to hear this. It's late in the evening. You've finished dinner. The house is quiet. You're winding down, maybe watching a little TV, reading a book. And you start to feel just a little bit hungry. Not enough for a meal, just a little something to take the edge off before bed. So you reach for what seems like the perfect, harmless snack. A banana. It's soft, it's sweet, it feels healthy, and you figure it won't sit heavy in your stomach like cookies or leftovers would. But here's what most people never realize. Even a banana can interfere with your sleep if the timing and your digestion aren't on the same page. That's what happened to Mr. Frank, 81. He had a routine. Around 9:30 every night, he'd grab a banana, sometimes with a few crackers, sometimes on its own, and then head off to bed. But for weeks, he was waking up in the middle of the night with a bloated stomach, or this strange, unsettled feeling in his chest. He couldn't figure it out. His meals were light. He wasn't overeating. He thought the banana was helping him wind down. But it wasn't helping. It was quietly disrupting his sleep. See, bananas, especially the ripe ones, are high in natural sugars and starches. And while that gives you quick energy in the daytime, it's not exactly what your body wants when it's trying to rest and recover. As we age, digestion naturally slows down in the evening. Food sits longer. It processes slower. And if your system is already sensitive, if you deal with bloating, gas, acid reflux, or even mild indigestion, something as innocent as a banana can stir all that up while you're trying to sleep. You might not even feel it right away. But the next morning, you're groggy. Maybe a little puffy. That rested feeling just isn't there. Now, does this mean bananas are bad at night for everyone? Not necessarily. But if you're waking up uncomfortable, or finding that your sleep just isn't as deep as it used to be, take a look at what you're snacking on before bed. There's a better way. Try moving your banana earlier, maybe as a mid-evening snack instead of a just-before-bed snack. Or, pair it with something that slows digestion a little, a small spoonful of almond butter, a few walnuts, or even a slice of whole grain toast. You'll still satisfy the craving, but you won't be dumping fast sugar into your system right before sleep. And if you're looking for something truly sleep-friendly, try a warm cup of chamomile tea, a few slices of kiwi, or unsweetened oatmeal with a few blueberries. Gentler. Calmer. Easier on the body. Sometimes, it's not about cutting things out completely. It's about finding the right moment for them to serve you best. And speaking of timing and misunderstanding food, there's one type of banana most people avoid without even thinking. Not because it's bad for you, but because we've been trained to wait until it turns yellow. But what if I told you the green ones, yes, the firm, slightly bitter ones, might be hiding a powerful benefit that most seniors are missing out on? Let's get into that next. You know what's funny? Most of us have this habit, we glance at a bunch of bananas, and if they're even a little green, we skip right over them. We wait until they're soft, sweet, maybe even starting to get a few brown specks. That's when they feel right, right? But here's the thing. In avoiding those green bananas, we might be throwing away one of the best tools for gut health and blood sugar balance, especially in our later years. It surprised Mrs. Gloria, 72. She used to joke that green bananas were for people with no taste buds. Too firm, too starchy, too bland. She'd wait until they were almost mushy before touching them. But after dealing with weeks of bloating and erratic digestion, her doctor suggested something odd: try eating them a little earlier, when they're still firm and a little green. At first, she thought it was nonsense. But after a little experimenting, boiling them, slicing them into soups, even pan-searing them with a little olive oil, she started to notice something strange. Her digestion settled. Her stomach felt lighter. She wasn't as bloated after meals. And she wasn't rushing to the bathroom like before. So, what's really going on with green bananas? It comes down to resistant starch. Unlike ripe bananas, which are full of fast-digesting sugar, green bananas are packed with a special kind of starch that behaves more like fiber than sugar. That means it digests slowly, it doesn't cause a blood sugar spike. And best of all, It feeds the good bacteria in your gut. That's right. It's like a prebiotic, something that nourishes the microbes that keep your digestion smooth, your immune system strong, and even your brain more balanced. For older adults, this is gold. Because gut health plays a huge role in everything from inflammation to mood to how well your body absorbs nutrients. And yet, most people never give green bananas a second look. Now sure, they're not as sweet. They don't mash as easily. But they're versatile. Boiled green bananas with a pinch of salt and a drizzle of olive oil. Delicious. Sliced into soups or stews. They soak up flavor beautifully. And if you really want to keep it simple, just eat half of one with some peanut butter or plain yogurt. The taste grows on you, especially when your body starts to feel the difference. We've been taught that sweet equals ripe, and ripe equals better. But for your gut, your blood sugar, and your long-term energy, sometimes less sweet is exactly what your body's been waiting for. It's all about balance. Not every banana needs to be yellow. And not every food needs to taste like dessert to be doing your body a favor. And speaking of things we think we're doing right, there's another habit almost everyone skips without thinking, because it seems unnecessary. But it could be bringing more harm than you realize, especially if you care about avoiding toxins and infections. It happens before you even take a bite of the banana. Let's talk about that. You know those little everyday habits we don't question. The ones that feel so routine, we barely even notice we're doing them. This next one is exactly that. It's the kind of thing we all do, sometimes for decades, without ever thinking twice. You grab a banana. You peel it. You eat it. Simple, right? But here's the thing, most people never wash their bananas. And that, my friend, is a mistake. I know, you don't eat the peel. So what's the point? Well, let me share a quick story about Mr. Joe, 77. He was sharp, active, and very careful about what he ate. Organic produce, clean water, no junk food. But one afternoon, he came down with a nasty stomach bug, nausea, diarrhea, the works. It wiped him out for days. The culprit? Believe it or not, it traced back to a banana. Not something inside the banana, but what was on the peel. See, bananas go through a long journey before they reach your kitchen. They're handled by dozens of people. They sit in crates, shipping containers, trucks, grocery store shelves. And sometimes, even if they're organic, they've been sprayed with chemicals to delay ripening. So when you peel that banana with your fingers, and then touch the fruit itself, whatever was on the peel is now on your hands. And whatever's on your hands ends up in your mouth. Most of the time, it's nothing. But sometimes, especially if your immune system is a little weaker, or you've had recent gut issues, that invisible transfer can lead to bacterial infections, pesticide exposure, or even foodborne illness. And the worst part? You never suspect the banana. Because it doesn't look dirty. It doesn't smell off. But the risk is real. Now, the solution is easy. Rinse your banana under running water before you peel it. Give it a gentle scrub with your hands or a clean cloth. Dry it with a paper towel. Takes less than 10 seconds. And it's one of those small things that makes a big difference. Especially for older adults whose bodies can't bounce back from illness the way they used to. It's like washing your hands. You do it not because you're scared, but because it's smart. It's a little act of care, for your health, for your future self. And the more we learn to respect the small things, the more power we have to prevent the big ones. Now, this next part is something many of us get wrong without even realizing it. It's not about what kind of banana you're eating, or even when. It's about how much. Because even the healthiest foods can become a problem, if you're having too much of a good thing. There's something about bananas that makes them so easy. They're cheap. They're everywhere. They don't need washing, slicing, cooking, or refrigeration. You can take one with you, keep one by your bedside, toss one in your bag, it's convenience in a yellow jacket. And because of that, many older adults end up eating 2, even 3 bananas a day. It doesn't seem like much, right? It's fruit. It's not fried food. It's not sweets. So it feels like a safe choice. But here's where things get tricky. Too much banana can quietly cause more harm than good. Let me share the story of Ms. Helen, 75. She was trying to eat better, stay regular, and cut down on processed snacks. So she leaned into what she thought was the safest option, bananas. 1 in the morning. 1 in the afternoon. Sometimes a third at night if she got hungry. And for a while, it seemed fine. But then came the bloating. Constipation. This sluggish, heavy feeling that just wouldn't go away. Her blood pressure started creeping up again. And blood tests showed something unexpected, her potassium levels were too high. Here's what most people don't know, bananas are very high in potassium. That's usually a good thing, it supports heart function, nerve health, and fluid balance. But if your kidneys aren't filtering as efficiently as they once did, which is common as we age, that potassium can start to build up in your bloodstream. And when potassium goes too high, it can affect your heart rhythm, your muscles, even your ability to move or speak clearly. It's not common, but it is dangerous when it happens. And that's just one part of it. Too many bananas also mean too much natural sugar, too much fiber in some cases, and not enough variety in your diet. Even the healthiest food loses its benefit when it crowds out other nutrients. Because your body doesn't just need potassium and sugar, it needs balance. So what's the sweet spot? For most older adults, 1 banana a day is plenty. And even then, it's best to rotate your fruits, try pears, berries, apples, even a few slices of melon now and then. Each one offers something unique, different vitamins, different fibers, different benefits. And here's a small shift that helps even more, if you do eat bananas often, try to pair them wisely. Half a banana in your smoothie, the other half in the fridge. 1 small banana with breakfast, and that's it for the day. It doesn't have to be all or nothing, it just has to be thoughtful. Because real health, it's not about cutting out your favorite foods. It's about understanding them, respecting your body, and making the tiny shifts that support your health, not drain it. We started this video with something simple, a banana. Something most of us don't think twice about. But now, you've seen it from a whole new angle. And if you've ever wondered why you're feeling off despite doing everything right, sometimes, the answers are in the smallest habits. And the good news? Small habits are the easiest to change. You're more in control than you think. It's kind of amazing, isn't it? How something as ordinary as a banana can carry so many little choices that either build your health up, or slowly chip away at it. And that's what makes this so important. Because when we talk about growing older, we're not just talking about birthdays. We're talking about how well you feel when you wake up in the morning. How steady your hands are when you pour that cup of tea. How sharp your mind feels when you're talking with your grandkids. How light or heavy your body feels when you rise from the couch or go for a walk. Every bite matters. Not because food is something to fear, but because it's one of the few things you still get to choose. And that choice is powerful. Now I know, some of what we covered today might have surprised you. Maybe even made you a little uncomfortable. And that's okay. Because no one's ever really taught us how to eat for an aging body. We're just told what's healthy, in general, but we're not all the same anymore. Your needs today are not the same as they were 30 years ago. And they won't be the same 5 years from now. But today, you're doing something most people don't. You're paying attention. You're learning. You're not just eating to fill your stomach. You're eating to support your future. So if any of this hit close to home, if you've seen yourself in these stories, if you've ever wondered why your energy drops or why your digestion's been off, or even if you're just trying to stay ahead of the curve, you've already taken the most important step. You cared enough to ask the question. And that matters more than anything I could ever say. So here's what I'd love for you to do now. Just take a moment. Think about your daily routine. Think about how you've been eating bananas, when, how many, with what, and why. And then choose one small thing to change. Not everything. Just one. Maybe it's skipping that late-night banana. Maybe it's switching to a greener one once a week. Maybe it's just rinsing the peel before you touch it. Tiny steps. That's where lifelong strength is built. Because aging well isn't about perfection. It's about awareness. It's about self-respect. And it's about loving your body enough to give it what it truly needs, not what it's always had. You deserve to feel good in your skin. You deserve to feel in control of your choices. And even if the world around you is getting faster, louder, more overwhelming, you can still come back to simple truths. A quiet kitchen. A thoughtful meal. A banana done right. And that's where real health begins. So let's take a breath. And quickly go over what we uncovered today. You learned that even the most innocent habits, like how and when we eat bananas, can have unexpected consequences, especially as we get older. We talked about overripe bananas, and how their extra sugars can quietly spike blood sugar levels. Eating bananas alone on an empty stomach, which may cause crashes and dizziness. Mixing bananas with the wrong medications, especially those that affect potassium. Smoothies packed with sweet extras, turning your healthy drink into a sugar bomb. Late-night banana snacks, which might be disrupting your sleep in ways you hadn't noticed. Skipping green bananas, and missing out on their gut healing, sugar balancing benefits. Not rinsing banana peels, a small oversight that can bring bacteria and pesticides into your body. And finally, eating too many bananas, reminder that even good things need balance. Now, I want to hear from you. Which one of these habits were you doing without realizing it? Was there one that really surprised you? Or maybe you found your own smarter way to enjoy bananas without the side effects. Share your thoughts in the comments, I read every single one. And your experience might just help someone else, too. And if this video helped open your eyes a little, if it gave you something to think about or a new way to care for yourself or a loved one, give it a like, that helps us grow. And subscribe to Elder Talks Daily, where every day we bring you simple, practical wisdom for aging with strength, peace, and grace. We're not here to tell you what to do. We're here to remind you that you still have the power to choose. To learn. To adjust. To thrive. So thank you for spending this time with me today. Thank you for caring about your health. Thank you for showing up, not just for this video, but for yourself. Until next time. Stay wise. Stay curious. And as always, take gentle care of yourself, and of one another. I'll see you in the next one.